That was stupid, it ain't gonna draw a dime. Not a dime. That was stupid, it ain't gonna draw a dime. Not a dime. Not a dime. Not a dime. Those guys never drew a dime. Not a dime. That was stupid, it ain't gonna draw a dime. Not a dime. That was stupid, it ain't gonna draw a dime. Not a dime. Not a dime.
We are back! Never drew a dime. Right alongside me, as always, my man, Drew Ortman. What's going on, man? How you been? Where can everyone catch it? It hasn't been a minute. We're hot off the heels of our Barry Windham episode, coming back rapid fire. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. I have to say, the Barry Windham episode was my favorite that we've done yet. So, I mean, we've had some good ones, but that was amazing. You can find me at Drew Ortman on Twitter, at kayfabe today, at PW Journal, and you can find the Barry Windham episode actually at kayfabetoday.com.
All that good stuff. The Great Muta, Drew. This was Drew's baby once again, 2 for 2. Another one of Drew's guys and one of my guys, big time. One of the greatest personas, in-ring competitors, storytellers, businessmen. The Great Muta is Japanese wrestling. One of the guys on the Mount Rushmore of Japanese wrestling, Drew.
Absolutely. He was as a younger wrestling fan, what I knew of Japanese wrestling. I mean, being the WCW fan early on and just seeing that stuff and getting introduced to him mainly there, and then slowly but surely being able to see some of the stuff he did in Japan. It was, it was totally different than anything else, and that's why I loved it.
Balor before Balor, totally with how he's handled the gimmick over the years.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, even still to this day, just because of the whole Japan difference and the time it was and lack of internet and whatnot, I still don't know exactly what kind of maybe story they have behind any of it or anything, but just the fact that he could do the whole white meat baby face 1 minute and then have like the quote unquote demon Muta deal. The original.
And also very legit. I'm seeing here in his early days before wrestling, he was a judo black belt with experience in a ton of competitions. Trained by Matsuda.
Wow.
Another Matsuda guy, brother. In the New Japan dojo, Drew. Debuting October 5th, 84 against Masahiro Chono. Muta was sent on his first learning excursion to the States at this time, primarily wrestling in Florida as the, quote, White Ninja. Great Muta team with Kendo Nagasaki, before returning to New Japan in 1986, where he was nicknamed Space Lone Wolf. Their fucking names in Japan, do they literally take 3 hits of acid each time they do
Space Lone Wolf?
A Space Age type character that was briefly revived in 2005 by wrong guy. So I'm not even gonna. Apparently, they brought that gimmick back in the promotion. He teamed with guys at this time like Inoki, Riki Choshu, Tatsumi Fujinami, Kingo Kimura, and Super Strong Machine, which now I'm totally curious about what he looks like. Then in January '88, Muta went to the WWC, Puerto Rico, and World Class Championship Wrestling. Actually, we've covered that before. Any memories of these early days, early Keiji Muto, Space Lone Wolf, White Ninja, any recollections of that?
Zero. Sadly, I have zero recollection of that, and I haven't even, I've always been kind of a Muta research guy, looking through all the stuff I can find, and I've never really caught any of that stuff.
I feel like we're literally 5 minutes into this episode, and this is the most I've ever learned. The fastest, too.
Right, yeah. We're going to become the Grapstradamus of the internet.
The Lanny Poffos. 2 Lanny Poffos. That's what we should rename the show.
The geniuses.
During this time in Carlos Colon's promotion, he then was donned the name the Super Black Ninja, which, way better than Space Lone Wolf. It's so bad it's good type thing. Like, it's so simple, it's so 80s, but it gets the point across. And yes, I have seen footage. Finally, something I can talk about, Drew. The WWC, the Puerto Rico footage of Muta and in World Class. Have you ever seen it?
No. Wow. What do you have what year the World Class was?
Between 88 and 89.
Oh, okay. I wonder if great shit. The other guy was still down there.
It says here in the fall of '88, he actually moved to Dallas from Puerto Rico, and Kendo Nagasaki followed him as he was his partner before, and they had a short-lived feud with Kevin Von Erich. Before leaving the Federation in March '89, Muta's personality and ring skills shown in his early American matches earned him a high billing within the National Wrestling Alliance. Then, of course, now we can get down to the brass tacks, Gary Hart and all, which I swore Gary Hart managed him before, but we were incorrect, Drew.
Yeah, I thought so too, but it must have just started right there.
Wait, no, we're wrong. I'm seeing here, yes, Gary Hart had managed Muta years earlier, so I'm thinking maybe in World Class when he was there. I'm assuming that time.
Well, yeah,
yes.
because what I was thinking was Gary Hart's already, Japanese guy. If he was already gone, then, or if he had them both, I don't know. Great Kabuki, that's what I was looking for.
Great unintentional segue. That was the gimmick, right? That was that's the origin of how he became the Great Muta right at this time.
Yeah.
Do you know the actual origin of it, Drew?
I don't.
See, we needed to have Tonkasaw on this, and it's so hard to get that guy, but he is like the Muta aficionado. He did a big video on it before on GrappleVision. Cheap plug it over there, check his video out. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure it was just that kind of storyline where it was passed down or something because it's the same exact thing from the Mist.
Yeah, the mask, the Mist, everything.
Maybe they even built it as it was like his son.
That could be, or like protege, where like you said, passed it down to the next worthy competitor.
I feel like for as awesome in like 82, 83 as Kabuki was, and as terrified as he made kids at the time, I'm sure. I feel like Muta, appearance-wise, everything, of course, in-ring compared to Kabuki, took it to a whole new level, like superhero. Yeah. But I don't think like Muta was ever hokey. I feel like I didn't like the weird like Predator mask he did in later years, but we'll get to that. He never in this era he's one of those guys that always came off badass. He's timeless. This character was literally timeless.
Absolutely. Do you think if Kabuki had the same physique as Muta, he would have had that role?
Maybe.
In other promotions?
Because maybe. Possibly. Maybe. That's
could have been timing too. It could have been timing too.
A lot of it was stuff and right here in 89 through 90, it's also in-ring stuff, I feel like, too, that made Muta memorable. Moonsaults, acai moonsaults, just the martial arts style. You've never really seen that on that kind of stage, nationally. Sure. Arguably.
Very arguably. No, that's, I completely agree with that.
I mean, unless you want to count Superstar Billy Graham's karate gimmick.
Right. Oh my God. It was up until his documentary that I'd really seen that for the first time, and wow, that was something else.
Obviously, Muta's biggest claim to fame here was defeating Sting for the TV title in '89. I thought those two,
and that's kind of when I first saw him.
Yeah, me too. And I think that younger Sting and Muta had great fucking matches that don't get enough praise.
They were made for each other. I think that's another reason why I really loved him, because everybody, if you got into wrestling, you start watching WCW, you loved Sting. You just did. That's how it was. And the fact that he had that feud with Muta was just fucking awesome.
You knew enough as a kid to know that for, these, at least for me, I didn't have territorial promotions where I live. I only had WWF and NWA or whatever. But you looked at the top guys there, is literally that. Like each guy had your Hogan. Like that was WCW's Hogan for me because I was a WWF kid. But
yeah,
I think Sting was essential. Was becoming essential in this era, because I feel like for the competition and to make what made wrestling thrive, obviously the competition, you needed a harbinger on the level of a Hogan as a babyface. And I think for all the flack Jim Herd and company's got when they take the reins and all the fingers in the fucking pot, they always did a pretty good job at keeping Sting where he should be.
Sure, absolutely, and I think it helped. Like this situation, I mean, Muta may have never gotten as far in like NWA, WCW, and popularity here without Sting.
Speaking of underrated, Drew, this was also the time when Muta was in NWA with Gary Hart. They formed the Tex Jap Tex, whatever it's called, stable with Terry Funk. Another
Yeah.
underrated little group. I like these three together.
Amazing. That time, their thing with Flair and Sting and all that, that was amazing. I loved it.
I feel like he had a good match with Luger. And I don't feel like
Mhm.
it was a match where Muta did all the work either. I got to go back, but it was like a clash or something. I feel like Luger looked really good, and he was
Yeah,
really
it may
great.
have
And he's
been
straight
the
from Florida too,
yeah, it may have been the what was the Starcade '89 where they had the round robin where everybody had a match with everybody,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
and that
Muta
that's
did
where
compete. What did you think of that concept? Too much?
um I think it was cool to try. I don't think there's any, especially with the stars you had in it. It was awesome to try. I think it got a little kind of boring after a while, and they never did it again, which obviously that's probably why. And I found it also kind of weird to our topic here with the fact that Muta was undefeated up until that pay per view, and then he got beaten twice.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like every time a promotion test runs something that's not just a straight line tournament, it kind of always gets a bad reception.
Yeah, I
Because
always now me personally, I always thought it was kind of cool because it was different. Never seen anything like it.
I, and every time like this Starcade's brought up, I think of the AWA tag team or point system or whatever they did like a year later.
Oh,
Like those two are
yeah,
kind of intertwined for me, and I feel like those were both good attempts. Like, and you go back and watch both of those, they explained it thoroughly. They did a good job, and they literally putting the text of the rules on the screen and stuff like that. I just think that, oh God, not to umbrella all wrestling fans is not the praise, but sometimes you got to know your demographic, and confusing them, like we say, might not be the best route, especially when you're the competition. You want to compete.
yeah. And I think something like that's made more for TV and not in one night.
Yeah, Drew. Yeah, it doesn't really say here why he left. I'm assuming every time he went back was because he made more money because he owned Japan basically at this time. He went back.
Right.
He took the persona with him, which came to birth in America. Totally getting over in Japan. The fans were all about it. I'm not going to go into. We're not okay. The New Japan stuff, guys. We come clean. We get fuzzy. We're going to get fuzzy. We don't know our shit. By all means, in the
Yeah.
comments, we want to know what we're missing on telling you guys because we're all about learning new stuff. We just don't know. We're going to cover the shit we do. Give us a break. Um, this is also a sporadic episode.
Sure.
Let's focus
That's
on
what I
his
like about it.
WCW appearances because we've got quite a few. He did keep making
Mhm.
them during '91, where he came back. While wrestling also in New Japan as a top draw, he was shown in attendance. Here you go, once again at Wrestle War '91, and then defeated an old rival
Huh.
Sting at the combined. Man, I fucking love these shows. The Japan Super
Super
Shows.
shows.
My God,
Oh, those are some of my favorites because this is one of those things. Again, as a kid, didn't have access, so I didn't see them, but I read about all of them in the magazines, and just so badly wanted to see them. When you see those pictures of Muta and Sting staying across the ring from each other, just like fuck,
Drew, how much is the
awesome.
network running now? $12.
Is it 12? I think it might still be like 10.99.
Something. Okay, something monthly.
Yeah,
There's a commitment
sure.
still, fee. Good amount of content. You got stuff like story time's okay, but then you got like Camp WWE, Unfiltered with Renee Young. No fucking Japan Super Show on the network. 4 years. Where is it?
Yeah,
What the
and that was
fuck?
like a
I've been waiting on
WCW
these to
pay
be
per view.
released, and I'm gonna get pissed because god
Yeah,
damn, these are excellent, and they deserve to be on the network. They
I
deserve
love
it.
them.
Take off King
I have.
during '95, just throw it away. Replace it with both of these they did. I'm sorry to get so worked up, but man,
Just take off the last
I
three pay
get
per
it.
views.
The licensing with New Japan, I get it. But there's got to be a way you can just put these two measly little shows from like '91 and '93 on the network.
Yeah, because wasn't the other one? Didn't the other one? The match was Muta and Sting against the Steiners.
See, and that's the thing. I have these documentaries on DVD, and you know what they'll do to take their dicks and just slap you in the face? They'll throw matches from these shows on them. So if you can do
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
calm me down. Talk about something good. Let's talk about Muta's time in this period of WCW, Drew, and just your thoughts and how over he could have
yeah.
maybe stayed.
Here's the bad part about it is it was so sporadic. If he had been a consistent uh mainstay on the WCW roster through that time. He would have been in top star all the way through it, I believe. But, like you said, the money and the commitment over in Japan just kept him away. And I don't know how WCW felt about booking him. I'm sure if he was willing to come, they would have wanted him there. But it's like we saw these Japan super shows, and then you would see kind of a real sporadic appearance here and there. And then we saw the whole international title thing where he came over and had the match with like Barry Windham, and I think even maybe had one over here with Chono. But that was really it.
Here's another fun fact, because we're all about learning.
Yeah.
The infamous Great American Bash 91 we talked about last time with Barry Windham. The spot to qualify was Lex Luger or Great Muta, and Luger pinned Muta to qualify for that match.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not. I would like to see that match, actually. I didn't know that.
From there, like you said, we go to the second Japan Super Show where he teamed with Sting, which I thought was a kick-ass match, by the way.
Yeah. No, that was a great match.
He would also keep making sporadic appearances in tag matches with Nikita Koloff against Vader and Rick Rude. And those were on house shows, and I'd love to see those, but unfortunately I don't think we ever will. He returned to TV in May of 92 on Saturday Night, defeating BA himself.
Wow. I would actually really like to see that match, too.
I'm sure it's there. It says Saturday Night. And it was a best-of-3 match.
Really? All right.
He was pinned by Scott Steiner in a house show at this time for some fucking reason. He finished out his little run here facing Larry Zbyszko in consecutive house shows, went back to Japan, pretty much came back around Starrcade 92. They did the tag tournament in 92 under the Bill Watts reign. We talked about also last week with Dr. Death and Gordy as a team. Was Muta? I feel like Muta was around then.
Yeah, I kind of remember him being around at some point right there.
Oh, this is also a match. Apparently, he had a match with Steve Austin in Japan for the 92 G1 Climax, where he pinned him in the quarterfinals. That's a match to go out of your way and check out. I didn't know that.
Wow. I wouldn't mind even seeing like those some of those G1s that had Muta in them.
During this
Just
time,
all the matches throughout that.
During this time, also Drew, nonstop learning. After he won the G1 Climax in '92, he then finally became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the first time.
Yeah, because I think maybe that year the G1 winner won the belt.
Yes, yeah.
That was kind of a wild situation, but. Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't know if our listeners are familiar, but I know sure as shit you are because you watch the super shows for one. Hiroshi Hase.
Oh yeah, he was always a lot of those matches that I would always be looking up on like YouTube and stuff with Muta. He was his tag partner a lot of times.
No, we don't totally not know our shit on Japanese matches. This is a match I have seen. This infamous match where he bladed Muta himself, and the cuts were very deep. To this day, the scars are very visible on his face. That match is very graphic, but those two had really good chemistry. And Hase is another legend in Japan, and I always remember them like at least Tony Schiavone telling us he was a school teacher, or Jim Ross, or one of the two.
I think he's like in some political position over there now.
Yeah,
like some sort of Japanese Congress or something.
Apparently, when he came in the 92 Starrcade for Battle Bowl, this was his fourth successive Starrcade appearance. Mind-blowing, because I have no recollection of him 91 or 90 at all.
No, I don't either.
But this is also, they did the Lethal Lottery. Drew, tell everybody that's not familiar. This is a concept that needs to come back, quite honestly. They kind of doing that now with Mixed Match Challenge in a way.
Yeah, so the Lethal Lottery was pretty much everybody on the roster thrown in a random fishbowl, and when your names were drawn out, they would create random tag matches, and you would have heels and faces tagging against maybe tag team partners squaring off against each other. Then the winning teams would all end up at the end of the night in the Battle Bowl Battle Royal, which was another WCW 2-ring idea where the first ring is where it started, and everybody tried to throw everybody else into the second ring. So it's like a double elimination, and then if you get thrown out the second ring, you're out, and the two remaining guys in each ring then had like a match.
Yeah, so pretty much every creative meeting this time in WCW was, listen, baby.
2 rings.
I got this idea, baby. Muta, in the Lethal Lottery tag match itself, he went up against the team of Brian Pillman and Too Cold Scorpio. Now my mind is fucking
How
blown.
awesome.
Take a wild guess who the Great Muta's partner was.
Oh.
Barry
Say it was
goddamn
something
Windham.
like Barry. Yeah. I almost said PN News.
And later that night, to actually win the two-ring battle bowl, Muta eliminated Windham. They were the final two. And he didn't win a title shot or anything. He just, he went away back to Japan.
One battle bowl.
Yeah. And other than that, man, like we said, we're going to get fuzzy. A lot of good stuff here in Japan, though. The match with Liger. The Batman and Superman of Japan at the time, you could say, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. That match was awesome. That was one of the ones that I've watched over and over and over.
Had they stuck around, Drew, and they put the belt on him, you think it literally could have been a success? Because I could have seen a run against Vader. I think those matches would have been badass.
Oh, that would have been unbelievable. And you could have, there's so much you could have done with him, like a huge heel run that was just like the most evil man on earth. And then you could have gave him a babyface run. And it would have, if he would have stuck around, he would have been a huge star. And he would honestly probably be like in the WWE Hall of Fame right now.
Came back, and I agree, totally. Came back 94. Faced Stunning Steve Austin, Spring Stampede. I do know that match for the U.S. title. Austin won by DQ as a schmoz. This was his last U.S. appearance for a while. Yeah, until Super Bowl IV, where they did the theme in '95 pretty much in WCW. If it wasn't a Hogan angle, it was WCW versus Japan. It felt like that whole year was just that.
Yeah, with Sonny Ono and his whole crew.
Which was neat, but it didn't work. Yeah. They didn't do a good enough job of telling you who the hell these guys are.
Yeah, and they milked it too long. It was nah.
I mean, obviously WCW, Muta go hand in hand because he never competed in the WWF to this day.
Yeah, I kind of like we were saying before. I kind of like that. I like that there's still those stars from that era that never went. It just leaves something.
Apparently, during this time, NWO Japan, after the NWO came along, it was that popular, and it'd be weird now. Think about it now. New Japan and WWE like doing a coincided group like that at the same time, same promotion running. I think it would be tremendous.
Yeah, I think
it would be awesome. As we talk about Bullet Club could be and stuff. If they would do that, I feel like it would A+. It would. There's no way that wouldn't work.
Yeah, it'd be over huge. Absolutely.
But apparently during the storyline in Japan at this time, he would keep losing. He was in like a slump, and he kept losing to members of Chono's NWO Japan. He kept teasing it in Japan that he was going to join, and it never really paid off until he actually did join on like an undercard match against like fucking Jerry Lynn or Jerry Flynn or one of those guys on Nitro.
Yeah. That's crazy how he's like the biggest star over there, and then he comes over here, and they're just kind of shoving him wherever.
Oh, God, I just totally disgraced the legend. Actually, he turned on Kensuke Sasaki. My bad.
Oh, yeah. I remember it. Kensuke Sasaki was one of those few others that they WCW brought in a lot, so I knew him really well. Felt like I knew Japanese wrestling because I knew him.
Unfortunately, as all bodies do, Drew, they begin to break down over time, especially when you got the work rate phenomenal, a guy like Muta. Age gets everybody. Yeah. Apparently had a bad knee injury. He just carried on with the NWO Japan thing, I think, this whole time, up until May 98. He injured both of his knees simultaneously. He did try to come back for the 98 G1 Climax. He did win a couple. I didn't mention he won like 95, I think 93 or 94 he won. He was eliminated here. He did not win. He took more time off. Basically, doing Don Fry came in at this time, I see. Did the tag match with Don Fry, which, if you're not familiar with Don Fry, what are you doing? Made a couple shots in WCW during the shit years of WCW in the end with like Young Dragons against 3 Count and Tank Abbott.
Oh my God. I don't even know what to say about that, really.
It's better. The next week on Nitro, he pinned Vampiro in the quarterfinals of the WCW vacant United States Heavyweight Championship, only to be eliminated later that night by one of the all-time greats, Mike Awesome, in the semifinals.
You know what? That whole Vampiro Sting Muta thing could have been so cool, and it just wasn't the time, I
Drew,
guess.
if you want to eat the sundae, you got to let me put the cherry on top. I'm not done. It does not stop there. He won the WCW Tag Team Championship with Vampiro at New Blood Rising against Chronic.
Chronic.
They lost
That's
it the next
cool.
night to Rey Mysterio and Juvi.
Oh,
and that was it.
Kind of figures.
His no compete clause in his WCW contract. He stayed under contract. That was September 2000, by the way. That's how late in WCW Muta was winning belts. He had a no compete clause in his WCW contract preventing him from jumping ship, and he never did. And I don't blame him. They would have paid him probably half of what he would have made if he just went back home, and he wouldn't have been nearly at the top. He couldn't use political play there, and learning the language more. I mean, he was fluent, but full time, I don't know.
Isn't it crazy that really means that? I mean, you could always throw Luger in there, except for his WWF run, but Sting, Muta, and Flair were like the real constants that were there from beginning to end of WCW.
In 2002, the Great Muta shocked the Japanese wrestling world when he appeared for All Japan Pro Wrestling. They were in like this invasion angle apparently, where there was kind of teased. It was interpromotional, but he fully jumped ship, kayfabe. And this is when he did the weird fucking Predator mask paint thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
To credit to him, at least he tried to evolve the gimmick.
Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, he was changing it up just to. I mean, that's what you do. That's wrestling.
Yeah, man. Besides a couple appearances in ROH, I remember him TNA. I definitely remember a few appearances from him TNA at this time.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
Other than that, and other than Fire Pro Wrestling Returns on PS2, any general knowledge at this time that you bring to the table about Muta? Because I mean, you're going to have to carry my ass on this, man.
Sure. And this is all kind of just random stuff, but I do remember a period here later in his career where you've probably seen pictures. He ditched all the paint and everything, and I think he was even still going by Great Muta. He might have went back to Muta or whatever, but he was doing he shaved his head and got the goatee, and he was kind of like doing the Steve Austin look when he was real popular. I was kind of shocked by that a bit, but
yeah, just going full force and letting it all go.
Yeah.
I can confirm, by the way, to correct her, it's a big one before you guys jump down the throats. Hopefully this means you listen to the end of the episode, too. It was based on him being the son of the Great Kabuki. I didn't mean to change the subject, Drew, but I wanted to confirm that's what it was based off of.
I'm glad it was, too.
Oh, yeah.
And just to jump around here, because, I mean, towards the end there, and, I mean, he's still making, I saw what promotion was it? PCW or something, and he was booked. I saw him come across my Twitter feed last week. He's booked on a show in just like full gear in the United States. And I'm like, oh my God, he's still going.
He was running the Wrestle One promotion, which held a Bound for Glory one year, or Zero One, or one of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and crazy. Sonata was actually it was passed down the Muta gimmick, correct?
Right. Yeah. Didn't that happen in TNA?
That happened in that's right. They couldn't fucking help themselves. Made in the Great Sonata. I don't know if in Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, he did use it in Japan. I don't know if it birthed itself in TNA though.
Now, well, I think he might still have the paint, but he's just called Sonata. So.
Yeah, he's in Los Ingobernables, and he's like, I think he's got a great fucking look. Like he's a guy I can totally see winning the IWGP Heavyweight title in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
As of March 27th. 2017, Muta announced he was stepping down as the president of Wrestle One alongside Kaz Hayashi taking over the position. Kaz Hayashi runs Wrestle One. I guess Tokyo Magnum runs Noah. I don't know. Muta remains with the promotion, as like a figurehead. It goes out and gives speeches and stuff, but he's retired.
Sure.
Pretty much. He's playing some golf. Well deserved. He's only 55. I feel like he should be older, but. Man, what a career. What a goddamn legend.
Oh man. I've always loved him, and the thing I loved in the internet era was, early on when videos were still a little scarce, but you could find them, and just finding those Muta matches from Japan that I'd never had access to before, and just for everybody's sake. And I don't know if I can get the years. By the way, while we were doing this, I was watching that Brad Armstrong match from Saturday night, and it was awesome.
Oh, nice. Maybe I'll throw up a 7-second piece of footage from it. so I don't get my fucking
Yeah.
video taken down by YouTube.
Yeah, right. So the two matches we spoke about this before we got on here, but that I want to throw out there for everybody to go find is Muta was in a tag match, and I'll shoot you the links, Travis, so you can put it somewhere.
Okay.
Essentially, though, he was in a tag match. He was as his babyface, no paint self, and then they were losing, so he took off, ran back to the back, and then like a minute later came out in his full Muta garb, and like Muta was back, and it was just this huge pop. And I didn't know any of the subtext or what was happening or the storylines, but it was just epic seeing it happen. So I would definitely check that one out. And then Muta also had a match I think it was right after Hakushi left WWE and went over there, and the entrances are epic. The match is epic. There's lots of juice. It's awesome. And he beats the ever living shit out of Hakushi for 90% of it.
Hell yeah. If
Yeah,
anything,
so-
my two recommends, I guess, for the week, for our guy of the week, is the Hogan match, just for the spectacle and just the shock and awe of seeing Hogan work over there. And I didn't intentionally mean to say that like Hogan. I had indigestion. Excuse me. And also, the mark in me wants you guys to check out the Liger Muta match, just for the spectacle and the match. I mean, the match itself was kind of a disappointment considering what it could have been, but I feel like the story that was told was worth the price of admission.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I want to run down, since somebody felt the need to put it out there in Wikipedia, I got a cheat sheet. A couple of the names we mentioned, White Ninja, based off a Japanese ninja gimmick, was used in Championship Wrestling for Florida between November 85 and October 86. Super Black Ninja, a gimmick similar to that of the White Ninja, was used in WCCW in Texas, also used in WWC. Space Lone Wolf, finally, a space age type character, used in New Japan. This is where it gets a little, I don't know. The number 6110, which means Muta in Japanese numerics. Muta approached Antonio Inoki at the time and insisted on wearing a helmet to the ring, a motorcycle helmet, or he would walk out, essentially holding him up for money over a fucking motorcycle helmet for an entrance. For a gimmick in the first place, it sounds like you're on acid when you made it. Wow.
That's insane.
No other way I'd love to cap off our little roundabout here about the Great Muta, Drew. Thank you for doing this, my friend. Once again, where can everyone check you out?
You can check me out at Drew Ortman on Twitter, at kayfabe today, at PW Journal, at Parade_Gaming, and as always, kayfabetoday.com, where not only can you find some of the best writing about professional wrestling on the internet, but now you will also be able to find these videos directly from the YouTube channel of the Hibiki TMD.
And seriously, man, thank you for putting this on there. And I'm not going to lie, I do rip off some of the stuff they write about 205 Live every week when I don't feel like fucking watching it, and Logan makes me come on cruise control. There you go. There you have it. As always, on Twitter, follow me at the Hibiki TMD. Hit that subscribe right down below. Check Drew and I out once again, first thing in the morning on YouTube. K-Faith Today podcast. Grapple Vision. Look for it sooner than later. Other than that, man, that's all I got. I'm spent. Great Muta takes out of you.
That was awesome. Thanks, man. This is as the wrestling geek in me, and now that we've found this kinship of our wrestling past, this is a lot of fun. Thank you, man.
Besides Vicky Pro, this has become my favorite thing to do. Thank you, my friend. Until next time. Never time. See you then.
Peace.
That was stupid. It ain't gonna draw a dime.